What's up, everybody? I'm doing one of these post-fight live reaction things, to kind of get the algorithm going. We're going to just... Okay, I tweeted it out, and then I guess I should probably also, while people maybe load into here, I will also put it on the YouTubes, or not the YouTubes, the IG. I'm going to deactivate my IG again, but let's see. Let's see if even people want this, because I don't know if people that consume my content even want post-fight shows. And I'm sorry for those in the chat. I'm just getting this. This is a struggle edition of my thoughts, but I'll go on some tangents. Anyways, thanks to someone for coming in. We're just getting going. We're getting this live show. I think the story, though, is Devin Haney. The story is reinvention. Great fighters. And for those that are like, why are you not looking at the camera? I'm not looking at the camera because I'm trying to get this on my Instagram and put it on there so I can maybe get like a few more people in here. But really, it doesn't matter that much. This is for the boxing fans. This is for those that really enjoy this stuff. Oh goodness, I'm aging. That is always a struggle when you struggle to do basic things. But I think that the reinvention of Devin Haney was the thing tonight. And I'm going to get into that in a second. I'm just putting this into there. And we're about to go right now. Okay, so here we go. Tomorrow we're going to do another show with Dakota. He's the man. Dakota's got the plan. I just want to see how this goes because it is a post-fight show after a big fight night. I'm going to look away so I don't just obsess with the numbers. So it really isn't a channel based on that. And I'm going to kind of look to my wall like I'm giving speeches. Throw some comments in the chat if you want to hear. But to me, I really think that oftentimes these great boxers, these really, really interesting fighters, the ones we call legends, the ones that we study, the ones that we have strong opinions about, we count them out and they come back. They reinvent how you see them. They reestablish themselves as the top guys in the division. And that's what Devin Haney did tonight. I also think there's going to be a ripple effect and thank you to everybody that's jumping in right now. I also think that there's going to be an impact. There's going to be people that go, I think he's vulnerable still. But what we saw tonight in a couple of instances were people saying this person, we saw it with Abdullah Mason and Devin Haney. These guys don't have chins. After tonight, I don't think you can question either guy, both their toughness, their heart, or their chin. Devin Haney tonight showed that not just is he able to perform like that, but he's also able to hear criticism, scrutiny, go in as an underdog, get belittled by the fans, and have one. I think that is his best performance. People will point to the Regis Prograis performance, but I think this was his best performance based on what was at stake. His reputation. Really, if he lost this fight, if he got knocked out in this fight, his legacy in boxing would have been in jeopardy, right? Now he's a 3-division world champion. He's trending towards being a Hall of Fame boxer. And he exploited distance and range, really technical elements of boxing, basic fundamental boxing elements that Norman struggled with. And I think that the big thing that I saw in there was Haney seemed to have fought through many different variations of what the fight could be, whereas Norman, I think, really thought that he was going to land a big shot and it would change the fight. And when that wasn't happening, I think that really kind of threw him off. Like, why aren't my punches impacting you in that way? I think that Norman isn't just a puncher, but I think Devin's really good at moving away from guys' power that they want to exploit, that they want to use, and that he can take away guys' power. And I thought tonight was a brilliant moment in Devin's career where I watched him evolve. This is this is no longer the Devin Haney, the young Devin Haney. I think this is in his prime, grown up Devin Haney, who really this is him as an adult. Like for me, it's kind of weird, right? Because I remember it's probably about 2012, 2013. I mean, I did an interview with him probably about, actually, you know what? Let me do the research on this. I interviewed Devin a long time ago, and it was an amateur fight, and he fought Jose Salinas. And it was on it was when Kareem Mayfield fought a Hawaiian fighter. And I know everyone's like, that is so boring. But Kareem Mayfield, shout out Kareem Hardhead of Mayfield, fought a Hawaiian fighter, and it was Michael Balassi. So I interviewed Devin Haney November 8th, 2014 at the Longshoremen's Hall in San Francisco. He fought on that card, and I believe he fought against Jose Salinas on the undercard. And not long after that, let's see how long after that. So, I mean, I had seen him around. I know that they had the Devin Haney TV thing, and a lot of people didn't really believe in Devin in that regard. And now, let's see, when did he turn pro? He turned pro in 2016, I think. 2015 December. Okay, so he turned pro basically like a year after I had encountered him at that event. So for his whole career, now he's 27. Jesus Christ. So he's 27 now. So at the time he was pretty young, but it's like he's permanently at that age to me. But tonight was his evolution as a fighter into that. We got a couple of comments. Hey, Brookins, Mankey Crazy, what up? What did you guys, for the chat, what did you guys think of Devin's performance? Because to me, it was the evolution of a young fighter into a grown-up. You know, I think that you could say he was one of the best fighters in the world when he lost to Ryan Garcia, or now it's a no contest. And I think his reaction was a little bit at times immature. And in this performance, it showed some growth that we haven't seen outside the ring. Maybe he was a little bit more private, but he showed the growth inside the ring. And I think the Ramirez fight was part of that development. But to me, it impressed me. I also think fights like this can go one of two ways. I think Norman can have a really strong career, or this could be because like there were parts where I was watching this and I go, is this the Jeff Left Hook Lacey, Joe Calzaghe modern remix? Because I always say like modern remix or whatever. I wonder, because there is a part of me that wonders if that's what this is going to do to Norman, because it's going to do one of two things. But Norman's an old school guy. I think he'll bounce back, but Norman had a lot of confidence coming into this fight, and Devin Haney planted some seeds of doubt. And those doubt, the thing about Norman's confidence was he was so confident, and he had a rough fight with Quentin Randall and gotten dropped by Janelson Boca Chica. And now you start to wonder from an outside observer, was that more Norman, and did he overachieve, or did he do whatever? And I think that now he's in the spot Devin Haney was in, and he's going to get a desirable fight coming up. It shows Devin Haney was harmed by the weight draining at 130 and 140. Brian Norman Jr. never went to the body. Bad game plan. Well, to me, it just felt like whatever the game plan was for Norman was, when we land, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt Devin, and that's it. I don't know. What did you guys think of this? Because to me, I was very impressed with Devin's composure in the fight. I think he showed a lot of experience in class. For Norman, I thought he fared very well. I thought that the second round could have broke some guys, to get dropped by a guy who's not perceived as a power puncher, to bounce back, to I would dare say exercise demons and put on a respectable performance. I think it showed that he didn't rush anything and he didn't hurry his performance. I thought that was impressive. But to me, I had a sense kind of from Thursday that Devin was going to do pretty good. And honestly, it's just like I got subtle things that just kind of reassured me. And then leading into the fight, Devin just, when Devin's on, he's one of those special guys. Then let's go to David Benavidez, right? David Benavidez, Big David. I mean, how good is David Benavidez? There's two guys on this card, right, that are in the how good are they? And they're completely different fighters, but I think I'll link them together. It's David Benavidez and Jesse Bam Martinez. Not Martinez. He fought Martinez. Jesse Bam Rodriguez. So David Benavidez is a scary concussive. You guys already know this, but I'm doing like a monologue after this post-fight, just saying my thoughts. And if you enjoy them, thank you. He's a scary concussive puncher who's physical, who's really humble, which is scary. He's not going to talk a gang of trash, but he's very, very intimidating, and he's a real fighter. And he's looking to damage opponents. He's not just looking to win fights. He's looking to cause damage, which that's also pretty scary because he's not going in there to play with you or tag with you. He's looking. And then on the other hand, you have Jesse Bam Rodriguez, who just made arguably the other, like the world champion that isn't him, the best world champion in the division. He went over and fought Kazuto Ioka twice. He went over and fought Jerwin Encanajas. He is Fernando Martinez. My brain's out. And he beats both of them. And then in this fight, this looked like a levels fight. If you had told me this was a developmental fight for a world title to get you in position to fight for a world title, and I didn't know anything, I could believe it. And that's what it is. Someone who's not me questioned the footwork of Brian Norman Jr. I mean, I wouldn't say I question it. I just think that, how do I say this? I don't think Brian currently works on combination punching or getting into position to combination punch. Or if he does, he doesn't have the experience at the highest level to implement maybe the footwork or the combination punching that he needs for that. David had his hands down, slapping his stomach, challenging Yarde to fight him in the mid rounds. Yeah, I mean, that's part of being a scary mofo, right? Is scary mofos do things that shouldn't work. He's not fundamentally sound, but he hits hard. He breaks a lot of the rules, and nobody wants to fight him because he's really, really scary. And then getting back to Bam obeys every rule. He looks like every cliche that people say about great boxing. Like he looks like poetry in motion. Like he looks like everything. And he outclassed the second best guy in his division. And I mean, it's getting ridiculous now. It's like he's beaten the old legends. Now he's beaten the best guy here. He's probably going to have to, like, he could beat the other title holder. I don't know the guy's name, but there was a unification bout and the guy won a belt. I'm sure he could beat him and become undisputed. He could go to bantamweight, but the problem for Bam is he's got to end up and eventually fight one of these guys like Junto Nakatani. Junto's probably the guy. I saw some people floating around Kenshiro, but it's like, if he doesn't, it's the David Benavidez problem. They're both in the same spot. If Benavidez isn't fighting Canelo or Bivol or Beterbiev, people just aren't as interested, not because it's not a good fight. It's just because the guy is so effing good. With Bam, it's like, if he's not fighting Nakatani, if he's not at a size disadvantage, it's like nobody in these weight classes can compete with him. So a rational person isn't going to be like, oh man, I can't wait to see that. It's just, he's just too good. Just quite clearly, he's just too good. And I think that was my big takeaway, is in a card of like really exciting, like my phone started ringing at 7:30 in the morning because everyone was excited about this Super Bowl of boxing card. And what ended up happening, or what I ended up seeing, was Benavidez, albeit I think a lot of fans in the UK were excited about Yarde because he's always been a tough guy who's been a real good veteran. And Benavidez just outclassed him. And I think that the American fans weren't as excited. They didn't see it as like as big of a marquee fight, but they were excited to see Benavidez. a lot of the boxing insiders were excited to see Bam versus Fernando Martinez. And that was not even a competitive fight. That was just Bam is on a different level. Honestly, I think that's probably going to change the course of Martinez's career because that is going to be very one-sided. That is a one-sided, life-changing. This guy just kind of effortlessly beat me, and I just had the best camp of my life, and I tried super hard, and it just didn't work. And I think that that's going to be a tough one to come back from. The only sad part is bantamweight is pretty barren. And if Bam decides to become undisputed, if he goes to bantamweight, I mean, he will clean that division out. I think he also kind of has the Inoue problem where, oh no, he doesn't fully have the Inoue problem where he skipped a weight class, but it's like Bam probably should have been a 108 champion, a 112, a 115, and a 1. So he, in theory, he should be a 4-division world champion, but he isn't. So I think the bantamweight title is coming. Probably more than likely, Benavidez has to fight at cruiserweight sooner or later if he can't get these fights, because like it seems like for these guys, the intrigue will be if someone is too big for him. Bam will never fight Junto. He already ducked Junto by changing weight classes. Junto is all wrong for him. I hear a lot of people saying that, but when I watch Bam fight tonight, I like both of them. I think they're both great fighters, but I just don't see that. I see that as a real 50-50 fight. And honestly, Bam has a lot of momentum right now. Bam's got a lot of momentum going for him. So I just don't know why a fighter with momentum, as much momentum as Bam, why he would not want to fight another great fighter. Just doesn't fully make sense to me. But you guys keep up with that stuff more. I'll admit, like, I was just thinking about this, and I'll share this tidbit with my folks, my live stream audience. I was thinking about, like, you know, you start out in whatever this boxing media space, and you're a loudmouth. Like most people's start is there's 2 starts. You go to school, you're really good in school, and then you come in as a well-trained professional. That's like the Hall of Fame guys. That's like the guys, the really good guys. Then there's the other trek where you come like me, where you're a loudmouth guy, make opinions that are sometimes wrong, but that create controversy and get your name out there, right? And it was around when Better Be fought Anthony Yarde. So let's do the research on this one. Better Be fought Anthony Yarde. I want to say that was 2023. Let's see. Was it 2023? It was January 2023. I almost want to say it was around this time, November or December 2022. And I remember I didn't speak the social media language. Like I'd jump on spaces every now and then, and the game had changed, and I was the past, and I just kind of felt it. And it's like from there, I've kind of been like, okay, I'm the past. Let these young guys do it. And I've just gotten more and more out of tune at that. And then I think when I deactivate my Instagram, I'm even worse because like I don't care. I really like these social media platforms. Anyone that knows me knows I'm reclusive. I spend my money to have all my stuff where I'm at. I'm not like someone who's eager to be like, let me go out here, let me go out there. So yeah, so I was thinking about that. And when you guys bring that up, that was interesting, but the Bam, it's already ducked Junto. I haven't kept up with that stuff, so please fill me in on that. One other fight I wanted to talk about. Did you mention Mason fighting on the inside? Well, I was going to talk about Mason right now. So that's going to be it. And by the way, for those who like the podcast with me and Dakota, we will be doing it at probably 8 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So we're going to do an 8 p.m. Eastern me and Dakota show. So really tune into that if you enjoy that stuff. Now I'm going to talk about Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noakes. what a barn burner. I think everybody who likes boxing would like this. And I think, like I said in those videos, and let me know if you enjoyed those little videos I did, probably going to write up little results tonight and combine all the videos so the newsletter folks can have it. But, and that's for the game, right? Because I wish I could consume some content the way I do. And also something I should ask for the next year. What do you guys want? The most hardcore of hardcore people that listen to my stuff. What's something that would be helpful for you to consume this? Please give me feedback. I think that's something it's long overdue that I ask you guys. But what I brought up in that video, and not to be like, look at me, I'm boxing expert guy, but look at me, I'm boxing expert guy. Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noakes was a championship level fight that took place for a vacant title. And typically, astute boxing fans believe that there's a promising fighter, and then there's a guy, where you wonder, why is this guy in a vacant title? That's what we've kind of learned to believe. I'm going to get into the fight. I think that people criminally underrated Noakes, albeit I think I criminally overrated him because I watched a Joe Joyce versus Joseph Parker fight, and he was one of the real standout guys on that fight card. And I was like, man, I discovered something. And sometimes when you feel like you discovered something, you can you can overvalue. It's a Saturday afternoon, you're sitting at your house, you're sitting there and you go, this guy's pretty good. You kind of shake your finger and you're like, I figured this guy out. So Noakes, to me, I'd always had a high belief in, just because I enjoyed how he fought, etc. To answer your question, Mason on the inside. Well, I think the thing with Mason is, and now this is just Lukey anecdotes, and this will probably be brought up on the podcast, but this is part of why I wanted to do a post-fight show. Let me know if you enjoy these things. I loved when Abdullah Mason fought Joel Iriarte in the amateurs. Fans of the pros would be like, I don't remember. Because he came out and he established his distance and he worked off that range and he boxed a beautiful and masterful fight. And I was like, oh my God, this kid's something else. Abdullah fought a great fight in that. And I really thought for this fight he'd come out and do it, but he showed as a professional, he has a temperament where he's not passive. And I have a love-hate relationship with it, because he showed that he's not soft, which is always good for a boxer to show that. But he also, to me, shows vulnerabilities in exchanging because he's looking to land those big shots. I think that this was a huge growth fight for Abdullah. I think he took a bunch of big shots and he proved that it's not a chin issue and he's not chinny, which is what a lot of people had been alluding to. And to answer your question, you think Noakes was hurt as often as Coppinger said? I don't think he was hurt as much, but I think that he felt the shots. I think the thing that I was seeing with Noakes, and maybe once again, this is me sitting at the house, just playing fight fan. I think he felt shots, but I also think that he's a tricky guy where he might act like a shot hurt to try to set up that right hand. He's a crafty guy, and I felt like he was bluffing at times to land things. He was going forward when I think he really was hurt. But to me, this was a true championship level fight. And I really wished, I know it was good on this card and whatever, but it made me miss the ESPN deal. Because imagine if this level of fight was on ESPN, readily available for a lot of fans, title fight, young 21-year-old up-and-comer, emerging superstar potentially, taking on a really good British fighter who also has a lot of potential. It really made me miss accessible boxing, because this card, which I enjoyed, it really felt like this was the hardcore boxing fans really getting a real treat. But I'm going to be curious over the coming days, like how many people bring up some of these fights, and that's something also to think about. I think Devin has found his way outside of boxing. I think Benavidez also. is like that. But like Abdullah Mason, I'm curious how impactful this was. I loved seeing sports organizations get behind Abdullah Mason. I think that's very cool. I wish Jesse Bam Rodriguez would get more attention as a fighter. I think he's just destined to just be overlooked because he's humble and he's kind of nerdy and he's just not a guy who's going to have like, you know, the thing that draws in certain fight fans. I don't even know what that thing is, but he's a boxer's boxer, nothing more, nothing less. So if you guys have any more questions or concerns or comments, that might be my post-fight show. That might be all I've got. If you want me to stick around for a second, I'll stick around, but that's about it. I'm almost tempted to go live on the Instagram, but I think that's a bad idea. So, okay, guys, we'll be back tomorrow and should be a really good show because I think Dakota's got some differing opinions than me. So if you missed anything, just go back and watch the replay.